Yeah, my life is almost unrecognizable for me from how it was before I went raw, in terms of my emotions and my spiritual connectivity, my social life, all of those things beyond the physical. You know, yes, I lost 160 pounds or something, and that was in itself an incredible change, but all of the other parts of my life and my experiences have shifted so dramatically as well. I mean, I look back on my diaries from years ago and it's like, who wrote this stuff? You know, I was so angry. I was so negative, really in a negative space all the time. Everything was a problem. You know, this person annoyed me. I didn't like this. And the space that I find myself in now is just one of true joy and happiness and loving my life path, you know, and choosing to live life from a positive perspective. Of course, it's not, you know, absolute bliss all the time. I have challenges like everyone does, but I choose to stay in a positive frame with everything that I view. And that to me, you know, that's my truth now, is that I see that the main flow through my being and through everybody's being can be love, and that's the main thing to keep my focus on, and to, you know, just really breathe into that. And before, you know, none of this would have even made any sense to me. It was, I had something like my own spiritual connection to the universe, which had been there throughout my life, especially when I was a younger child. You know, like most people, I felt that kind of connection. I especially knew if anything was happening with my mother or my sister, I could really feel it, you know, in terms of my psychic connection to them. Those kind of things faded for me, just the conditioning of my upbringing, you know, those kind of things were blocked down. And it wasn't until I went onto a raw food path that I really felt the space in myself to blossom those things out again and to really connect to those parts of myself, because you know, those things aren't the kind of things that are very spoken about or supported in society. But when I came into a raw food lifestyle, it just became just truth. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be in alignment with truth, and that came more and more for me. And a lot of support came from me in the way of different books and conversations with amazing supportive people, going on retreats, watching, you know, wonderful films, different things like that, that helped me to acknowledge that yes, this is actually something that I can embody for myself, and it's okay to do this, because, you know, that's not the kind of conditioning I grew up with. I grew up in the kind of conditioning where everything's a problem and everything's negative and that kind of thing. And it was really an important phase for me to just, you know, open out my own heart space and fill out into a space that I wanted to be in. You know, yeah, this actually is my truth, and I want to be open with people and loving with people and in a positive frame and honest with people, and to not focus on negative things. And it's okay to do that, actually. It's okay to look at the world from a positive framework. So that's been, for me, like, on a personal level, that's the stuff that really resonates for me now as like the major shifts that I've been through. Yes, the weight loss happened and that was great, but it's the stuff on the inside that really resonates for me as the key changes, because this ultimately, you know, this is the truth, that the stuff that's coming through the inside of me, this is just the shell, you know, that I'm in at the moment. And emotionally, there's been massive shifts for me as well. As I said, you know, I was very closed down, very negative and bitter, and I wasn't willing to be open with people or speak to people honestly. And now, you know, it's a very different life for me emotionally. I'm much more genuinely happy and willing to connect to people. You know, it's so wonderful to me to just have an honest, like, to have eye connection with people, an honest, direct eye connection, and to just tell people honestly how I feel about things, you know, to not be covering things things up and saying yes, yes, everything's okay, you know, kind of British stiff upper lip thing or something. That just doesn't resonate for me as truth anymore. And yeah, I think when people go raw, people don't realise necessarily all of the things that are going to unfold for them along this path, and it can feel really challenging if the other people around you aren't understanding what you're talking about and they aren't resonating. But so many people who are on the raw food path and have maybe gone along the path a little bit before you will totally understand what you're talking about, you know. And it's not like some kind of mystical thing. It's just about coming into alignment with nature, and it's not like some people have psychic abilities and connection to spirit and they're so special or something. It's nothing like that. Everybody has this connection from within. That's my truth. That's what I see. And it's just when we stop taking foods into our bodies that obstruct that pathway, it's much easier to feel that connection to the universe or nature or God or whatever you want to call it. It's much easier to connect and to see the sacredness in everything around you, you know, and to just connect with others and to love them, and to not have that kind of competitive, closed down energy, which from my perspective I see that so very much in our societies, and it, you know, it's not the most delightful thing to see. And so what I do for myself, I just, as I walk around, I just try to radiate love to wherever I am, you know, just keep giving love and light and blessings and health to everyone that I come into connection with, and to just try and raise the vibration everywhere, you know, because a lot of people are in that space where they're feeling, you know, they don't like their job, they've got problems with their marriage, and everything's a problem. But if I'm willing to hold the space with that person and just give love towards them, you know, maybe for a few seconds or a few minutes or something, maybe that lifts something in them, and then they pass that on to someone else, and it, you know, it keeps going. So I'm willing now to hold that space, which I was not before. You know, I was there, I was in that kind of miserable space before, and I didn't see how to not be in that space. But since going on this path, it's really shifted for me, and now I'm completely happy to be in that space, and I want to be in that space as much as possible.
Going on until about 5 minutes.